everybody. Welcome back to the Weekly Mash, the segment of the Book Mash where we hang out with amazing authors and dive into the stories behind the stories. Today, we are so excited to be joined by romance author Stacey Agdern. We learned from her submission that she loves hockey, music, bookstores, food, movies, all the things that we love. So we're super excited to have her here with us. And then she weaves all of those things into her swoony, heartfelt romances. So let's learn a little bit about her and her work. Stacey, thank you so much again for joining us. Can you introduce yourself? Tell our listeners a little bit about you and your books, and then we'll get into some fun questions.
So thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. As has been stated, my name is Stacey Agdern. I'm from a small town in New York known mostly for its literary history connection. I am a former bookseller. I am a former reviewer. I'm a huge fan of romance novels, hockey, and of course, I ended up writing a whole bunch of them. I am a very proud member of India, and I'm just really excited to be here in fact today. My most recent book, the Kosher Conundrum, came out at the beginning of June.
We're so excited. So
Yeah.
excited. No, like Marina said, Stacey, we're beyond excited. If you, I can't tell, I've just said it 3 times. That's my life. So go ahead, sorry.
No, I said exciting is fun though. So
I like to be excited. I like awesome. I'm
Exactly.
just weird. So for listeners who may not know you or your work, how would you describe your books in a few sentences? What kind of emotional experience can readers expect?
So it depends. We've got the Friendships and Festivals books, which were basically like if Hallmark movies were Jewish before they started like showing Jewish Hallmark movies. They're set in small towns in New York, in Westchester County or Long Island, depending, and they're just really sweet and funny. It's just really awesome. And then you've got what I like to call my Yid dramas, which are my Last Girl Standing books. They're slightly rom-com-y, slightly sportsy, a little bit of everything, but also Jewish and like references to my favorite Asian dramas appear all in the 4 books. And then we've got the hockey romances that I write with Isabeau Kelly, Kenzie McLear, and Sandra Carr. They're fun, they're paranormal, and they're just really cool. And then so I love romance novels. I'm inspired by all the things I love, and they all end up in my books. So
I love it.
Amazing.
yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, what a broad range of different things that you've worked on. I love that you have all of these different niches that you can just kind of grab audiences in all these different places. That's incredible. Very cool.
It's just so much fun. Like one of the things, like if you're watching something enough, if you're a fan of something enough, something's going to stick in your head and be like, ooh, I wonder what is this? And you tease the thread out a little bit. And then eventually a couple of those threads tie together and you end up with a book.
Not me.
Tie it all in. Tie it all in.
Nope. My
Ashley's like,
strings,
nope.
my strings are going to remain untied.
Don't trip on those shoelaces, Ash.
And that is something I am terrible at doing. I'm a horrible klutz myself.
Me too.
For goodness. Well, let's talk about how you went from bookseller to author. So we saw that you were an award-winning bookseller and reviewer before you became a published author. How did that experience shape the way you write romance?
So I was a reader first, always. Like I think the way that I approach writing is that I am a reader first, but I've always been a writer. I discovered romance novels through my mother, as I guess a lot of us do. My mom discovered that I was reading a lot of science fiction and kind of put a book called Until Forever by Joanna Lindsey on her nightstand. And in the very place that I looked for things to read at the time, I was in college, and it blew my brain because I was like, I had this idea of what romance novels were supposed to be, and mostly historical, not necessarily something I was interested in reading at the time. And she came home after I flew through that book with a book called The Star Princess by Susan Grant. And that completely blew my mind, and that was it. I was done. I was hooked, and I started reading Laura Roberts. I started reading everything. And when I was in between spaces when I was taking a postgraduate exam, I was looking for something to do. I was looking for something to like make money and do in the intervening time. And I found myself in a bookstore. I found literally, I saw the help wanted sign at the bookstore in the train station. And I was like, this is where I want to be. This is perfect. And luckily I was offered the job, and very quickly was discovered that I was the only romance reader in the bunch. I was the only person who understood the romance section. And so very quickly I got the keys to the section and then became the romance buyer. So I was someone who was paying attention to what people were reading because I'd read them all. You know, I read a lot of the books too, and my rule in the section was, you are not bothering me if I'm shelving, if you are enjoying this. Finding a good book on my shelves, that's fine. So I created this space for romance readers while I was working. But of course, at the same time, I was trying to get myself published. And because I was working in the store, talking to people, I was paying attention to the various, at the time, romance writer conferences, romance writer organizations. And I joined the local organization, went to a couple of conferences, you know, immersed myself in the world, both for my bookseller self and my writer self. So like my, hold on one second. One second. There we go. There you
At least I'm not the only one.
There we go. So sorry about that.
You're fine.
Okay. We've still got 2 in here. So we'll see what, no, okay. You got it? Okay. There we go. And now we have the resident Devin. Hey, basically. Okay. Anyway, so attended romance writer conferences, met more writers, shared my happiness at working readers and seeing what was selling, and kind of I tied it all together, you know, sort of both on the seeing that what sold in the store, what people liked, what kind of created that bit of joy, and then I put it toward my writing. I didn't get published for the first time until I'd been a bookseller for a while. Like the first story that I had published was actually in one of the hockey anthologies, Going All In, with Isabel Kelly and Cassandra Carr. And that happened because Isabel and Cassandra and I are all hockey fans. Cassandra is a Buffalo Sabres fan, and Isabel and I are Rangers fans. And I had this wild idea, and they were like, yes, let's do this. And so we put together an anthology of the 3 shorts. And it was my first venture into indie publishing, you know, very tiny toes. I like to say that I'm a tiny toad hybrid. I've had the wonderful experience of doing all of these anthologies for, you know, 3 of the hockey anthologies, and then a whole bunch of really cool, like, political anthologies that I turned my stories into the Hope Connection later. But yeah. So in short, I saw the joy that people were reading, and I kind of infused that into my writing. Because I think it's always important to remember who you're writing for, not just self, but for readers. Like, I think that's super crucial. Second, you forget that. The second, like, you forget that someone's on the other side excited, like, for something that you could potentially be writing. Like, you're done. Also, I think if you stop reading, if you stop taking joy in the books yourself, you're done too. Because I think, you know, you need to be able to read and love the books that you're writing. And I need, like, in the genre that you're writing too.
I think that's what would ruin me, is worrying about people on the other side reading what I'm writing.
It's like, I think it's more worrisome, like, when something is about to get published. You know, that's when it's the most worrisome. But when you're writing, you know, you're so focused on the story, because I think in a lot of cases, like, it's not necessarily, it's more like, I would love to read this, or I like to read this, or I think this is a great thing. And then you have this in the back of your head, and it ties in with all the ideas, right? Like, for me, it's not a front-driven thing. Like, my first solo title and my first solo title and my first traditionally published story are both Hanukkah stories. A lot of people love Hanukkah, but Hanukkah is my comfort holiday.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of cases, like, I come back to the things that I love when I'm writing, you know, if that makes sense too. Like, as I said, if you don't love what you're writing, if you don't love the story, it's not going to work.
Yeah. Can't write a book. Yeah. Not doing it.
It's something that you have to enjoy to do. Like, anybody can do it if they want to. Anybody can try, but it has to be something they love.
Yeah.
It has to be something you want, because that's what's going to take you through the whole process, right? Like, I can't draw to save my life. I can't even write. I can barely write a straight line. Like, it's terrible. And I admire artists. I admire people who can draw. Like, there are tons of artists whose artwork I adore. Yeah. Well, second.
Yeah. So, what do you love most about writing romance specifically?
I think what it is, what draws me to romance beyond anything else that I do, because everything else is crazy, it's the idea of these two characters finding their person. You know, it's the idea that no matter what is going on or where this book is set, these two characters get to find their person. Whether it's ATA or an HFN, like, they're going to have that person. They're going to have the opportunity.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be so fun to be able to tinker and meddle and.
Yeah.
So, Miranda, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to come up with an idea, and you're going to write my book.
Okay.
You can put your name on it.
Cool. Sounds good. I'll run with it.
Inspired by
Yeah.
the Ashley.
The Ashley.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. Stacey, what makes a romance unforgettable for you? Like, if you are reading a romance, what makes it stick out? What makes you remember a book that's a romance?
So I have what I like to call my good nuts, and those are the books that I pick up like right before I go to bed. If I need something to read that I'm in between books, I'll pick it up, go to one of my favorite scenes, and then oops, I finished the book again. And I have quite a number of these books, like some newer, some older. I go from The Madness of Lord Ian Mackenzie to The Long Game. Like, literally anywhere in between. Linnea Sinclair's books are some of mine. I think it's a moment of vulnerability. Pleasure for Pleasure by Eloisa James is another one of those, where like the heroine who thought herself a goddess hostage, if memory serves us how this works. And the main male character basically is giving her lady lessons, if memory serves how this works, because I'm remembering the scene. And like, he puts on her dress and he walks in front of, like, he shows her how to walk, and like the way that she's written this scene is just beautiful. But like, it's that moment of acceptance. It's that moment of like, you know, accepting the characters as they are, and it's cool. And like, I don't necessarily know if you've watched Stacey Agdern show yet, but I can tell you, like, it in shows it's that release of tension. You know, again, it's I love you for who you are, and whatever's going to happen afterwards, it's going to happen, and we're going to face it together. Yeah. It's that moment. I feel like every single time, like Anne Stewart's Cold as Ice, same thing. Like, there are moments in that book where like the ice cold assassin is like completely like, you know, overwhelmed with emotion because of this woman that he's supposed to kill him. Gorgeous.
I love me a good man in a book.
Feelings.
Oh,
Feelings.
The fake
So
feelings.
many big feelings. It's amazing. I love it.
Because we all know my husband don't give me real feelings. So
Oh, whatever. Stop.
it's our love language. So speaking a little bit of tropes and the type of books that you like, what are your favorite tropes that you just cannot resist writing?
Second chance.
Oh yes, you're right up Miranda's alley.
Yes.
Yep. I am a sucker for a second chance, which is probably why there are so many like Korean dramas I love watching. And there's this Thai drama that I started watching last like a couple weeks ago, and we've got the point of like, why is this one guy doing all of these things for the other? And it turns out when this guy was about to, like, he was young, he was like 12, 13, and he was going to commit suicide, the other guy saved him. The other guy came by with like ramen noodles and sat next to him, and it was like this moment changed his life. But the thing is, he didn't know, and he found them later. And they just disclosed this, and it's like, yes, you know, whether it's like an actual second chance, whether it's like a ghost of a second chance, like the zombie crush, whether it's, you know, people who can't get their stuff together and finally get their stuff together after years, like, it's the history, it's the tension, it's the, you know, what brings them together that will work this time.
Yeah. Yep.
I've troped so many times, and it's just so
It's a
much
good
fun.
one.
Mine's
Good one.
favorite.
Yes. Let's talk about the Kosher Conundrum a little bit. What inspired this story in particular?
So the Kosher Conundrum is the last of 4 books, inspired by a book that I read ages ago called Script by Zoe Castile, which is the writer Cordova under a pen name. And one of the things that I read in that book that I had never seen before in a romance novel was a Jewish wedding. And I was like, wait a second. And I cried all over her. I cried all over her editor. I cried all over 3 different essays that I wrote at the time. As I said, I was a romance reviewer, and one of them was, I want to say, an Ikoki Romance Month event. I wrote 3 different essays about it for that. And I was like, what if, in the back of my head, what if a Jewish author wrote about a Jewish wedding? So I wrote my most recent series about the concept of a Jewish wedding, what would happen. And so in the Kosher Conundrum, you have an event planner and you have chefs, and sort of heading towards this wedding of her cousin and his best friend. It's also about what happens when your world falls apart and how you put it back together. In another book in this series, I wrote about a great boss. I wrote about like how good mentors are helpful and help you get to the places you need to get. This one was the opposite. This one was someone, my heroine wanted to become an event planner, become an event, and ended up working for someone who at some point had cachet in the business, but she was not a good boss. And by the time the book takes place, she no longer has the connections to make it worthwhile. And she's basically riding on the heroine's reputation to make it work. But the problem is that when the mentor leaves the business, all of the contracts and all of the connections fall apart. So the heroine is now stuck, like, trying to fix her cousin's wedding. Meanwhile, the guy who her entire family thinks she is dating, to the point where they have a family group chat about this and don't include her, is going through some family issues himself. It's about, on his end, it's about heritage businesses and about sort of how they're passed down from generation to generation and how they do that and what happens when the direct generation doesn't want it, so they find someone else, and the kind of like situation involved there and how you have to like look basically for that. So the 2 of them decide that what they have to do is not necessarily fake dating exactly, but like for the world we are dating, for us we are exploring the possibilities.
Okay.
We are, we are giving the relatives what they want, that they don't suspect that we have to fix this wedding, and we also have to fix, his position in family business. So like
That's interesting.
they basically go on a road trip in essence to find the contractors to fix this wedding. And during this period, they basically like explore the possibility of dating and also fall in love with each other, but also learn about what a good mentor looks like, what a good mentor figure looks like, what a good business plan looks like, all of these kinds of things. So it's important. It's not necessarily a guide, but like kind of, I don't know, sort of not necessarily fully, but like I guess it kind of is sort of.
So, as a
Yeah.
certified culinarian, I may be a preschool teacher, but I am a certified culinarian. I'm intrigued by the food and the culture that you have in your book. So, how important was the authenticity to write or to you while writing the book?
So I think that one of the things that I love is the concept of like talking about. So let me step back a second. Quite a number of years ago, there was a huge debate as to like the status of Ashkenazi Jewish food in the context of food in general. And there were a bunch of people that were like, oh, it's boring, it's terrible, it's blah. And there were a whole bunch of conversations that came out of it. Someone started take pictures of your Shabbos meal, take, one of my favorite culinary historians and chef Michael Twitty talked about how Ashkenazi food is the food of kind of like sort of triumph and sort of the people who triumphed over all kinds of adversity. So back in my head, through at least 3 of my books, I've talked about Ashkenazi food in a certain way. And so there's a very famous New Yorkish, and I think it's I don't know how national it is, but it's Russ and Daughters, which is a famous sort of an appetizing deli, and there's a big exhibit in New York about it and how the various generations run it and sort of how they pass it down. And I was like, this is what I want. And I tied it with sort of a famous business on the Lower East Side called Yonah Schimmel's, which is one of the last like family-owned heritage Knish businesses. And I was like, this is the story for him that I want to tell. This is like, but it's also like you have this family, but so back to the question in the sense that like I always base my culinary conversations on real history. And I always, because it's fun to research and it's just really cool and interesting. So like in Love and Lockers, which is my third book, I had a ton of fun searching out like the history of Italian Jewish food. So I learned the story of Atalaka. I was like, that's it. Like that's that's the part of the contest where they mess up basically because it's a complex thing.
The research must be really hard for that too.
So it's
Right?
like it was so fun. Like my best friend, when the first book in the series, the B'nai Mitzvah Mistake, came out that introduced the Knish shop that would be part of book 4. She made a gluten-free Knish for me, and I was like, this is fantastic.
That's so fun.
That's so fun.
So all of the bookmarks for B'nai Mitzvah Mistake have the recipe on the back end of it.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's fun.
So fun.
I love talking
let's-
about culinary stuff.
Yes, yes, she does. I mean, who doesn't love food, anyways?
Well, me.
And I love watching cooking shows. Like I love things that like Molly is one of my favorites too. I love watching her. Like, and I will say also that I love watching drama, but that's another story entirely.
My
So-
thing is, I'm
Yeah.
like the worst culinarian in the world because I'm probably the pickiest eater like ever.
Yeah, that's true. You could like cook whatever, but you won't taste it.
Yep. But it tastes dang good, I'll tell you that much.
I have food issues, but otherwise, like aside from things that I can't eat, I'm a pretty adventurous eater, and unfortunately, I have managed to discover some of my food allergies because of my adventurousness.
I have like texture issues and like sensory things. And so like, for example, this is just a small example. I love the taste of watermelon. I love it. But if I wanted to eat something with that texture, I'd just go eat the kitchen sponge. Like that's how I feel about it. So I do that a lot though. So I'm weird.
Yeah, it could be interesting for sure. Food is fun. It can be weird.
Definitely.
Let's look at the Hope connection a little bit. So this released recently. What can readers expect from this collection?
So quite a number of years ago, I want to say like 2016, 2017, 2018, I had the opportunity to participate in a series of anthologies with really, really, really cool writers. And Hope Connection is made up of my contributions to those anthologies, plus a short story that I wrote to finish off the series. So like the stories are connected because the characters are either friends or relatives, and that each of them have like guest appearances throughout. And it was inspired by an organization called Hockey for Hope, an organization called Hockey Fight, etc. Because it was a series of scrimmages put together by my friend Sandra Velasquez a number of years ago. And what would happen would be there would be these hockey games, professional players and amateurs would play. The fees and the money all went to the charity that the hockey was playing against that day. So anything from the environment to women's rights, to you name it. And when placed in a situation where I was going to be involved in creating a political happy ever after for myself when I did not see one, writing about activism and writing about like the things that were happening around me at the time, I framed it in the context of this organization. And it was just great. It was harder for me because 90% of the time, if you've probably been able to tell, when I write, it's about something that I've already decided my feelings about, or if it's something that happened already. Writing these stories, it was raw. It was a different process, and it took a bit more out of me. You know, the topics I talk about in these stories are difficult, but they were important to write. And as I said, I was very lucky to contribute to these anthologies with these topics. So when I finished my 4 stories, the next thing I wrote was Miracles in the North, because I needed a mental, because I started, that's when I was reading Hallmark movies and wondered what if the characters were Jewish, like what if they were celebrating Hanukkah. So that was kind of the transition. And then in 2020, I had just signed my contract, and I was trying to they were trying to see if they were going to buy a second book for me, and I needed to get my brain going again. I needed something to do. So I was like, why don't I write a story about the last of the characters having a pandemic death? So that's the 5th question, which is the last of the stories that kind of complete sort of the collection, and you get to see like everyone from the short celebrating together.
That's so fun. I love the charity aspect of the hockey games and how that turned into something so much bigger with you all creating the anthologies together. That's such a cool idea.
Mm-hmm. I mean, anthologies were like, they were focused on so Hockey for Hope was my personal focus, my personal kind of thing. But the stories, I mean, Emma Barry, Joey York, Camden Parker, Melissa Blue, Dorita Cordova did a story in the later volumes. These anthologies were just absolutely amazing. I learned a lot, which was actually kind of interesting. I signed yesterday at Novel Grounds here in Virginia with Emma Barry, and none of that would have happened but for the fact that I participated in that. But yeah, it was just a really sort of interesting frame to play with, because it was a way for these people to like get together and focus on important causes, but also have fun at the same time. Mm-hmm. They were, she no longer puts them together, but I remember like how important they were to see and to spend time with and watch. And like, it was great. And the charities got a lot of money from the spectators and everybody, because it's just a really cool thing.
That's so much fun. We have a, what's it called? Like a minor hockey league.
I think I think they call it a collegiate league, but it's just
whatever it is.
It's the farm team through Canada.
Cool. Here.
Yeah. And we do a bunch of like the charity stuff. So there's like the teddy bear toss, and then there's like another day where it's for Shriners, and they're huge on doing that around here. So we always appreciate it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I need to go to the boy museum sometime. Not museum, aquarium.
Aquarium. They're too young for it to be a boy aquarium. You gotta go to the Kraken or something, Ash.
That's too far away.
Well, be appropriate.
I forgot that they were young. Don't yell at me.
They are little. They're too little.
Okay, Stacey, rapid fire mash round. Miranda, quit judging me. I forgot that. Do you know how long it's been since I've been?
Since you were their age?
Probably.
And it was okay.
I forgot. Rapid fire mash round. First thing that pops to your head, I cannot talk. Who gave me this job today?
I don't know.
Okay, paperback or hardcover?
Paperback, without even a question.
Yeah, I agree. I like the fact that you can like mold it while you're reading it, and it's not just like a stiff.
It's easy to carry with you. Yeah. My gosh, I forgot my book at home. There's a paperback. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Me too.
Friends to lovers or enemies to lovers? Friends to lovers.
See, I'm a dark romance girly. I gotta go enemies to lovers.
It's interesting because, like, as a writer, it's friends to lovers. As a reader, I love both.
I mean, I do love both. Yeah. I do love both. Right? Bookstore date or hockey game date? I was waiting for this one.
Seen a whole bunch of different bookstores organize trips to hockey games. So I would love, like, someone to take me to one of those. Like,
there you go. Combine it, and you don't have to choose.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody dating me would have me excited about both of them. So
that's smart. Look at you.
Hey, I
Um,
mean,
oh, go ahead.
you know, I'm as happy at like Books or Magic or The Red Bodice or Love and Legend as I am at MSG or The Rock watching The Sirens. So like, give me all.
To
All
me,
of
if
it.
there's
All of
books,
it.
I'm game.
Yeah. Yeah. Writing with music or silence?
Music.
Coffee, tea, or something else.
Both. Coffee first in the morning because that gives me most of the caffeine, unless I am by myself, in which case I'm a lazy person and will make tea. The rest of the day, I like both. Doesn't matter. Like, give me coffee or tea the rest of the day, but like in the morning, that first has to be coffee.
You gotta have the pick me up, and then you're good for the rest of the day.
Exactly. Like, because no matter how many like hours I stick a tea bag into a cup, I'm not going to get the degree of caffeine that's in a cup of coffee.
Well, believe you me, I get that.
She does. She does. I don't drink coffee. I just started to drink tea, like just a little bit, but I'm mostly a soda drinker, so not great.
I go back and forth.
Give me an IV with coffee. I'd be happy.
Oh gosh.
The dangerous thing for me is chocolate covered espresso beans.
See, I
That's the
can't do
dangerous-
that.
No, oh God. Excuse me, aside from that unlocking factor in the morning, I can go right to bed after drinking a cup of coffee.
Me too.
The espresso beans, I used to have them in college. I could see stars. I could see
Colors.
Exactly. I was like, oh my God. Like anything that anybody had said about caffeine doesn't happen to me until I get these chocolate covered espresso.
Hilarious.
Yep. It's insane. But it's like, I'll sit there, when I have them, like if they're at the desk, I'll sit there and be like, like this.
Stacy's like George of the Jungle and he's in the kitchen with the coffee.
Jump. Otherwise, they need to be kept as far away from me as possible.
That's so funny.
Oh
That's
my
funny.
gosh. All right. Well, that was all for our questions. Stacy, thank you so much again for joining us. Before we take off, can you please tell everyone where they can find you on socials, where they can find your amazing work, follow along with what you've got upcoming?
Absolutely. So my website is staceyagdern.com. I am S. Agdern on Instagram and TikTok and Threads and Blue Sky. I am NY Stacey on X. Author Stacey A. Agdern on Facebook. As for what's coming up next, we'll see.
We'll see. Follow along and you'll find out.
Exactly.
Right? Well,
Thank
we'll
you.
have everything, Stacy, linked below so you can follow and then check out the amazing work that she already has out and follow along for anything new and exciting and upcoming. Stacy, again, thank you so much for joining us. And for the rest of you, thank you for listening in on the Weekly Mash, and we will see you on the next one.